Welcome to 99th Monkey Liberty News for Tuesday, October 7th, 2014. I have just a couple of videos about Ebola today, and then I'm moving on to other subjects. But I have them here because I really am beginning to strongly believe that it's a false flag, that the whole thing has been engineered mostly to terrify Americans into submission and also to lay claim to Africa and to push back against the Chinese, who are becoming involved with in some business deals in West Africa. So here's from a few weeks ago, actually a couple weeks ago, report Ebola aid workers journalists killed in cold blood in Guinea. Whenever journalists are killed, you kind of have to wonder. I mean, obviously somebody doesn't want the truth to get out. What is the truth? Well, also from a little while ago, although InfoWars put this article back up, Infowars.com, CIA insider warned of Ebola false flag in September. This gentleman was a guest on Alex Jones a little while ago, not that long ago, and did exactly that. Former CIA insider Robert David Steele warned during a September 18th appearance on the Alex Jones show that a staged Ebola false flag attack was on the horizon 2 weeks before the first case was confirmed in the United States. So it evidently is very real that at the very least this is being manipulated, if not very intentionally introduced into the U.S. And again, I believe that the main purpose for this is fear. And that's what even Benjamin Fulford in his blog yesterday affirmed that, and more on that in a little bit. From the Free Thought Project, Ohio Police Department has become so corrupt they were forced to shut down. And this occurred in Cincinnati, Ohio. And this is the first of a few articles that I have that emphasize how people are rising up. The tide is beginning to turn, and people all over the world, not just us conspiracy theorists, people are realizing on a much broader scale that we have been, as a human race, defrauded by a small group of people, and there is pushback. And I found this article very interesting. This article claims that Obama has pledged to see that African American farmers receive their due from the farm claims. I want to qualify this. This is the only place I have seen anything about this, and I want to do more research, but here's the statement. From the White House, statement by the President on the settlement in the black farmers' lawsuit against USDA. My administration is dedicated to ensuring that federal agencies treat all our citizens fairly, and the settlement in the Pigford case reflects that commitment. I applaud Secretary Wilcock for his efforts to modernize operations at the USDA, as well as the work of the Justice Department in bringing these long-ignored claims of African American farmers to a rightful conclusion. Again, I want to do more research, which I haven't had an opportunity to do yet. But I just found this very interesting, and this article ties it to N.E.S.A.R.A. And of course, farm claims are pretty much the origin of N.E.S.A.R.A. So there's great potential here, and then this article also tells the entire story of N.E.S.A.R.A., which I believe I posted from another source not that long ago, but it always behooves us to be aware of this, that there is law, although it's kind of difficult to, it's obscure, but there is law that allows for justice to be done in the U.S. And another farm-related lawsuit. This article is in N.E.S.A.R.A. Billion-dollar lawsuits claim GMO corn destroyed U.S. exports to China. And of course, China doesn't permit GMO corn to be imported there from the U.S. So some people have filed a claim. 3 class action lawsuits filed Friday claim that agribusiness power Syngenta is to blame for depressed corn exports to China since the seed company released a genetically engineered variant of the crop before it was approved by Beijing. At issue is Syngenta's 2009 release and distribution of its N.E.S.A.R.A. genetically modified corn known as Agrisure Viptera, which is engineered to fend off certain insects known to decimate corn crops. While approved for use in the U.S., Chinese regulators have yet to sanction the export of Viptera. Syngenta is responsible for destroying the export of U.S. corn to China, which led to depressed prices for all domestic corn, according to Wilcock Farms, the lead plaintiff in a lawsuit filed in Omaha, Nebraska federal court. Wilcock and others are claiming $1 billion in compensation. The 2 other suits were filed in Iowa and Illinois federal courts, according to Courthouse News. In addition to monetary claims, the Nebraska and Iowa suits seek to enjoin Syngenta from cultivating and marketing N.E.S.A.R.A. or Viptera. Again, there's pushback. There's, bubbling up from deep below the surface of human emotion is this cry of freedom, a cry of wanting justice where injustice has been done. It's taking back our responsibility where we have reneged on it. And just as an example of the kind of power that we're struggling against, I happened to notice something. I was working on a project and I clicked around a little bit when I was at Bible Gateway, and this caught my eye. The Authorized King James Version of the Bible. Even though this was, I think in the 1500s, 1582 or something, was produced, there is still a copyright claim. And now I will say this is the Authorized King James Version. There is a King James Version that is not that it is in the public domain under U.S. law. But because this caught my eye, this is the extent to which some social engineers, some elite, the 0.001%, however you want to refer to them, they believe that they own the world, and this just was evidence of that to me. The Authorized King James Version of the Bible, the rights in which are vested in the Crown in the United Kingdom, is reproduced here by permission of the Crown's patentee, Cambridge University Press. So, again, ownership of this version of the Bible is claimed by the Crown in the United Kingdom. This is the kind of issue that people are pushing back against. This is even the kind of idealism, the belief that something can be owned. If you want to get right down to it, I think that the people who translated the King James Bible probably should have had some kind of written authorization from God that they could translate his word into English. I know that that's ridiculous, but I just want to emphasize the degree of presumption here in claiming, copyright, holding copyright after these hundreds of years of something that belongs to all people. I mean, God intended for people to have access to his word. From the Vatican Project, first local government in U.S. refuses to recognize corporate claims to civil rights, bans corporate involvement in governing. And this has to do with something specific. This community wants to be able to enforce laws about pollution. But for those who are aware of the U.S. Government being a corporation that was formed at the time of the Civil War, and how the extent to which corporate interests have invaded government, there's significance here. There's broader significance than just this one community. If other communities and aspects of government can step up and deny corporations power over the republic and the process, the constitutional processes, we can experience a much greater degree of freedom. So I'm hoping this is a trend. I'm hoping that this is an indication that many more people are becoming aware, and this to me appears to be a signpost along the way that indicates that we are moving closer to liberty and justice for all. And another indication that there is a very fundamental objection to much of what government is doing around the world, and the assumptions that are being made and the rights that are being taken away. From Electronic Frontier Foundation, Stop the Spies, Australians rise up against mandatory data retention. So Australians are, there is a struggle going on in Australia, and because they've had they were forbidden to, they had a real strict carbon tax. They were forbidden to talk about it. And there's been a pushback against that carbon tax. And there's a struggle in Australia on many fronts. And in this article we read about how Australians are rising up against mandatory data retention. And may Americans also rise up in like manner. From Koila Pele's blog, our David Wilcock comment on Ben Fulford's latest post. And I have it here as opposed to showing it somewhere else just because it's easy. Thank you, Koila Pele, for making it easy to read. And as always, David Wilcock's comments are interesting. But the one that I wanted to especially note in this morning's 99th Monkey Liberty News is his comment about fear. And this, as I mentioned, I would tie the Ebola issue back in. Ebola is partly intended as a false flag to, well, as all false flags are, to cause us to fear. And that causing us to fear makes us easy to manipulate. They want us to buy their programs, whatever. But there is also another level of effectiveness and power that evil people get from fear. And I've mentioned Loosh before, and David Wilcock is, in his comment here, is referring to ETs, aliens. I would point more to a demonic force, but maybe it's a matter of semantics. He may be calling the same entities that I would refer to, just calling them something different. So here's the quote. There are ETs out there that are living off of our fear as a food and money supply. When you get angry, sad, stressed out, jealous, impatient, rude, and dominant, you are paying them. This is the deepest and most significant reason why all this fear-oriented stuff is happening. These entities are controlling in the highest levels of the shadow government. And there is more here. This is well worth reading the entire article, not just the summary. And it's just a reminder, and I will read the rest of the paragraph here. Although everyone below these levels treats the top guys as godlike leaders, those leaders in turn are treated like factory-raised cattle by the negative ETs. That's why so much of what's going on, like this lust to reduce population, doesn't make sense from any human perspective, no matter how sociopathic they are. And I so heartily agree with David Wilcock here. And I've mentioned before, a lot of the actions taken by the cabal, the social engineers, the Illuminati, don't make sense in any light other than the fact that they are being driven by demonic entities. And it's the demonic entities who have the passionate hatred for mankind, humankind, and who benefit from human suffering. So just a reminder there. I know many of us are really wanting change and hoping for change, desiring change. And it's easy to become weary when it appears that nothing is happening. So just a reminder here to hold on to hope and to joy and show love to people. And there's a converse here. The same impact that these negative emotions have, the same value that they have to evil and toward enabling evil, the positive emotions, and New Age people will tell you that the positive emotions have a higher vibration, and I believe that. The positive emotions, love, joy, peace, kindness, actually the fruits of the Spirit, as the Bible names them, all of those things raise the condition of humankind and change the atmosphere around us in positive ways that bring about positive results, and that really raise the condition, lift the condition of humankind. That's my sermon for the day. And so that's good news, but I also wanted to finish with this positive news from Natural News. Power of touch has incredible healing abilities. So just another affirmation here to show kindness and love to those around us. It has an impact in the physical realm. Thank you for tuning in for today's 99th Monkey Liberty News. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Hoping that you will indeed love one another, take care, and insist on liberty and justice for all.